I'm not really sure how to start this one. I guess let's start with, hey, we hit 1 million subscribers. Woohoo! Unbelievable feeling, even shaved the beard.
Deal's a deal.
Worked so hard on this. But it seems as though YouTube had other ideas. Not at 1 million anymore. I didn't even do anything controversial. Apparently YouTube deactivates accounts that are inactive. Timing seems a little convenient, don't you think? So yeah, if you can't tell, the flavor today, little salt. Let's rant aside. On this episode of Building Your Ideas, we're making an expandable shield. Doing this one because I got a lot of suggestions from my Percy Jackson Expandable sword video to do the shield. I was a little hesitant to do this at first because a couple other YouTubers already made great versions of this, and you know, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel or reinvent the shield. Won't let me get to 1 million with these jokes. But then I got to thinking a little bit more, and while the movie does depict the shield as like a giant thing on your arm that circles out clockwise, the books actually, which are way better by the way, does a little different. In the books, he's actually got like a wristwatch form factor, and when he clicks it, a shield spirals out sort of like a camera shutter, so it like expands out. So that's what I'm gonna try to do today. But before that, here's a couple projects that you guys sent me or tagged me in over on my Instagram, so check them out.
Let's go.
So if you've made anything cool, feel free to send it my way on Instagram. Please send them, guys. Honestly, it's so fun for me to just scroll through these. Hopefully by doing these features, we can inspire other people and give you a little bit of the recognition that you deserve. So, bit of a tall order for this project. Physics says matter can't be created or destroyed, so whatever the shield is made out of, we have to be able to cram that into a watch. So I figured a good place to start would be origami. Look for anything that folds from a giant form factor into a tinier one. And actually, it turns out that NASA is researching similar stuff for like giant solar panel arrays, being able to shoot them up in small rockets and then deploy them. So maybe we could do that NASA collab if we discover something. Anyways, I found the shape that can be rolled up but then expand outward into a disc, which looked very promising. So I made a paper version. Here it is. It folds up from a little tiny circle like this, and then if we spin the outside and pull on it, it just bigger circle. Maybe somehow fit this on our wrist. So I went ahead and made a metal version. It's just the same as the paper, expands out into a full metal shield. Ooh, shiny. Maybe we can add some stabilizers, put this thing on our wrist, see what it can do. Just do it. Oh my god! Hey, he blocked it.
Let's go.
Looks pretty cool. I think there's definitely potential here, but the problem is I want this thing to be automatic. It seems very hard to make this expand automatically. So while this could potentially work, I went back to the drawing board. So I started thinking of like everyday objects that go from small form factors to big form factors, like some sort of springs or like foam or maybe like an umbrella. So I went ahead and got a couple mini umbrellas. These get pretty small, as you can see, about 6 inches. So I was wondering if there's a way maybe we could put this on our wrist. But then that raises a question of how are we gonna get this to unfold? And then it turns out that these small aren't actually spring loaded. So you actually have to push up yourself. But again, it's not automatic. So the other issue with this is the way I would want to put this on my wrist would be something like that. The shield ideally would come out something like that. That means we really have to shrink this down. If you look on the bottom of the umbrella, these spokes have to be a certain length. That's what determines the height. So we need like 20 of those for this to maybe work. So then I started thinking about ways that we could actually bend metal like this. So I got a bit of spring metal actually. A couple sheets of this stuff. Makes an amazing sound if you shake it around. Yeah, so after about 3 hours of playing with this, cut some strips and thought maybe if I rolled them up, they would quickly unravel and then maintain their shape. Then it finally hit me. A tape measure. Basically what I was trying to do with the metal already. And it's rigid enough to hold its shape. So maybe if we use like a couple tape measure things like a spoke, then we need some sort of like webbing to put in the middle. So I figured for this to work, I have to cut this into strips. of equal length. So good news, it's measuring tape. So I think we're gonna do 6 strips of 18 inches. Should be enough. Alright guys, so here is the Shield watch. That's probably easier for me to just show you first, then explain it. Pay attention. Let's go! Full-size Shield right from the wristwatch. Alright, here's how it works. Basically, there's 2 different parts to this. Got the expanding frame that I made out of tape measures. We've got the inner webbing part that connects it all. First thing I did, ripped apart a tape measure and cut it down to about like 2-foot pieces. And I 3D printed a wheel. Then I glued the tape measure pieces at like staggering starting points. So when you wind it up, they're each like overlaying each other, but it's a tape measure, so it works. Then I 3D printed something that the wheel sits into with 6 different outlets. Then I fed each tape measure piece through those outlets. So now it's sort of like a tape measure, but it's 6 in 1. We've got these little like nubs right here that act as the stopper. And we've got this little locking mechanism right here that locks them in place. So if I spin it, put the locking mechanism down, and now the wheel's locked in place. But when we flip this up, it unspins. Then we needed a way to work in the webbing. With this tape measure design, we're actually able to leave the middle of this thing completely open. Perfect to store some like connecting materials. I'm just using this one because it sort of looks like metal. I don't know, might look a little bit cheesy, but hey, it looks cool in the light. And I drew a trident on it in the middle there, but it's simple enough to swap this out. The only criteria is it has to be super thin that it can fit in the center. Because when it's all packed in, we've got this little cover right here. It's got a couple legs that actually will lock. So there's like a bottom nub right there that we can just slide it onto. And we simply flick it off that little piece and it'll spring off and then it's free to fly off. This little bit of fishing lines means we don't see any of this and it's super hard to tell there's anything inside there. If you leave fabric in here for long enough, it's gonna form fit to the area. There's not gonna be any reason for it to spring out. And the tape measures aren't springy enough to be able to pull all of themselves plus the fabric which is stuck in here. Too much friction. What we needed to do was make a little mechanism to eject the fabric out of the pocket. This took a little bit of thinking. But what I arrived at was sort of a popping mechanism. In here, there's a plate with a spring, and on the bottom, there's a little locking mechanism. So when we push this plate down, we can actually lock it down in place. And then when we flip this little lever on the side right here, it'll release. Then we can put the cap on, release it, and then to fire it, as you saw, all we had to do was just flick the thing, crumpled up insides, we'll pop it out, and we can hit that quick release button, and then shield on your wrist. And that is how to make an expandable shield. Realistically, it's not gonna provide too much protection. I'm talking about a little bit of thin metal and fabric here, but it makes a pretty sweet prop though. I did try to get like some strong fabric. Like you can use like Mylar, stuff that like kites are made out of. That stuff's pretty thin and also pretty strong. So yeah, enjoy this little bit of testing. Maybe we can figure out some practical uses for this thing. Alright, so practical uses. You just say it's raining, you just pop the shield out, boom, just like right on the head. No! Practical uses.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yes. No, you don't seem to be. Oh, hey,
Yeah,
I'm not wet.
Exactly.
All right, don't be shy. Don't hold back here.
Okay, this time really not hold back.
Yeah, don't hold back.
You're tilting it right at me, so it's.
Well, I need to beat off somehow. So you just walk.
Don't say beat off on film.
Beat off. Oh God, this spilled it.
Oh, it works. He's like,
you told me not to tilt it. No, in normal scenario, rain wouldn't come out as fast as that. You're supposed to lightly. Why is the top off?
Oh, because I
put the top off and like sprinkle it. One more time. I hate this. All right, so da da la la la. Oh no, it's raining. Yes.
That sounds like rain.
Yes. Dry as a bone. Alright, so I don't know what else to do with this, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Took a decent amount of engineering just to even get this far, and there's still a bunch of stuff that could be improved. Maybe in the future, think of ways to make this stronger. If you have any ideas, let me know. But for the first attempt, I am quite pleased with this little gadget. I'll try and provide all the necessary CAD files down in the description. Follow me on Instagram, DM me if you make it, or if you make anything else cool. It's finals week right now, so schedule's been a bit chaotic. That's why this video's late. So wish me luck on that. Hopefully we get back to 1 million. Maybe make another account and subscribe. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.